Berimbolo is one of the most important moves that you'll learn in BJJ, but it's often seen as too advanced due to the inversion or Granby roll-like movement, which can be challenging for newer and less flexible students. However, don't let this put you off, as the Berimbolo is such an integral part of the modern guard that it's really worth studying. First being used in competition by Samuel Braga in 2005, it would later be adopted by the Mendez brothers as early as 2009, where they would go on to add more developments like the leg drag and the double guard pull. 2011 would see the rise of the Meow brothers from the purple belt division, and with them, their Bolo game. And since then, the Berimbolo has continued to spread throughout the new school of grapplers, with big names like Mikey Musumeci, Levi Jones, Espen, Margot, Jonathan Alves, and many others leading the charge. So much so that now the Berimbolo has begun to transition over into the Nogi world, which leads us to today, where we'll be exploring the basic setup for the Berimbolo in Nogi, as well as going over those crucial details that you can't find anywhere else, and show you why you need to know the Berimbolo.
We're just going to start in the seated position. Typically in Nogi, I want you guys to pummel. Say he's got butterfly hooks on me. I always want you guys to start pummeling inside, okay? Just good rule of thumb. You can get into your single leg X or ashi, as some of the new guys like to say. But with this Bolo, I'm gonna go outside, okay? Outside. If I can keep the other leg inside, that helps too, so just to have some more control. I mean, he can go for the Bolo, but I'd rather you guys have this here versus on the outside where he can start attacking there, okay? We'll look at that later. So my legs control his ankles. This time I'm gonna pummel outside, and I wanna make my hook. A lot of people have trouble doing the Bolo because they don't have this hook in, and they're just trying to reach, but I don't have any control of his leg. So when I'm doing that, let's have you turn this way, Cousin Tony. And I'm actually flexing there. So if he tries to move his leg, I'm kind of hooking myself to him, especially if he tries to back away, I'm going with him, okay? If he starts turning his knee outward like that, it helps me with the Bolo, but we're just gonna have him in a neutral position. From here, my other hand, I can reach for inside of his knee, I can reach for the thigh, I can reach for the back, just preference, but I just need to rock to my shoulder. So we call this a Granby roll. So I'm gonna rock to that shoulder. And so I have my hand controlling his ankle. I go elbow, shoulder, and then back of my neck. So elbow, shoulder. From here, I don't really need to keep that hook in. I just keep it kind of elevated. And now I can look for his back. If he's giving me back exposure, this is a very good grip for you guys to get. Other side leg, I can use the post off the mat, and I just get into that inverted position. So a lot of people get caught here. I'm thinking of all the white belts. I need to take my head towards Cousin Tony's leg. So you see this space here? Look through that space, okay? And that helps me get in close. So in this position, if you little thick here, it's gonna be rough, man. Okay, so big guys, you probably won't stay here. You probably just follow the whole motion. So I was holding the ankle. I'm gonna keep using this hand to control. All right, from here, there's a lot of different, I call it like movements from here. The most basic thing we're gonna look at is just a regular Bolo. So keep the ankle. My free leg here, I'm gonna use it to hook Cousin Tony's far leg. And then I'm keeping that hand on the hip. So you see how that kind of elevates his hips off the floor? If I don't have this there, his hips are gonna be very heavy and hard to move. I come back up, Cousin Tony. So I'm using that arm to kind of help me bridge his hips up, okay? From here, this other leg, I can make a hook. So like an X guard, and I'm just gonna extend my legs away from Cousin Tony, okay? So extend away, and I'm looking for that back exposure. All right, from here, I can keep my hooks in. Now that he's giving me back exposure, I'm gonna go off the hip, and then I go to the neck, okay? And now I need to start climbing up his body. So let go of the ankle, I can go to his hip, or I just like to go as high as possible, because once I get this grip, I can start pulling him towards me. And when you guys take the back, of course you wanna get your hooks in, but I want you looking down on your partner. So you see how I'm looking down into him? If we're both level, he's gonna have a good chance of escaping. But when I'm higher up, You know, it makes it a lot easier for me to start going for my attacks. So again, I'm starting to control both ankles, pummel outside, make my hook, looking for the back exposure. If he's starting to turn his leg out or down, that's all right. I don't need to do all this fancy stuff. Instead of going for the bolo, I'm just gonna pummel my outside leg in that space. I can look for his back. I can even come up, usually he's gonna put that back on the floor. I'll come up into a leg drag, okay? If you're having trouble with your bolo, just note that most people just go for the leg drag if they miss it. Let's say he's not giving me that space. Again, I'm getting into this position. Elbow, shoulder, back of the neck. Okay, once I'm here, so if I can't reach for that, you know, maybe he's keeping his leg away. That's kind of far away. We have a lot of different options. One I can do is a hip clamp. So with this outside leg, I'm gonna pass my knee through and I'm gonna get my crotch, it sounds kind of weird, onto his leg. So you know, that sounds pretty bad. But I'm trying to lock my hips into his hips. From here, I'm gonna curl my legs down. So you see how this leg's up? I need to curl it down. So make sure you don't kick your partner in the face. But I'm gonna curl my legs down and I'm gonna post my legs onto the floor. And I'm using that other hand to support his hips, okay? So it feels a little uncomfortable for Cousin Tony. So look, my hips are directly underneath him. So the more I bridge, the more it turns his hips over. From here, I'm not gonna let this leg stay here. I need to start going for his back. So I wanna keep supporting his hip, look for the neck, and now I'm gonna do a hook switch. So this inside hook's gonna come out, outside hook's gonna come in. And take the back, okay? Another setup I like, just get in there. Okay, another option we're looking at now is the crab ride. So this one's a little bit tough, but as long as you have that initial position on the ankle and the hip, it should work out. So this leg, my outside leg and hand are gonna support his leg up. Inside leg's gonna come out and make a hook. As I make my hook, I wanna get my knee, sorry, Cousin Tony. I wanna get my knee on the outside of his leg, okay? If my knee comes in, there's no real control. So I was here, support his leg, and I'm pummeling this leg, this outside leg in. And I wanna get my knee on his hip, okay? From here, there's a lot of different options I can do. You know, I could look for this around the waist grip. That might be kind of tough. I like to stay here. And what I'm gonna do now, I can look for the far side. So how I rolled this way, I need to reverse my head placement to the other side, all right? From here, I can stay in this position. I can come up for leg drag, kind of crab ride leg drag position, or I can re-roll. Once I re-roll, I'm gonna use my hooks to control Cousin Tony's legs, and I go over my shoulder. And so I have my crab ride hooks. My hooks, I need to keep them strong because that's how I support his weight, okay? Seatbelt grip. And then when I have one hook, I'm typically gonna keep that bottom hook in and let go of the top hook first. Once I get my top hook in, I'm gonna move his hip out and make space for that bottom hook, okay? So how you get to this position, you know, sometimes the guy will play double guard, but a lot of times the guy's gonna come up. But I'm just gonna get my De La Riva hook in, control the ankle. From here, I like to go 2-on-1, so 2 hands on his leg, and I like this inside grip. All right, so here, and it really helps me kind of get him off balanced. From here, I use that back leg, and I'm just gonna move myself like a shrimping motion. I'm gonna move myself to the side, and that really off balances him, okay? If I want to, I can bring this leg in, then knock him back, but just watch out for the bolt cutter and the steamer locks here. If I leave that leg out there. That was one. Yeah, either one. Okay. I had to come back up, Cousin Tony. So I'm here, hook strong. Again, I'm moving on my side. Okay, if he has that knee pointing outward, just bring the hook over. If he's not, I'm gonna use my hook and my body to kind of off balance him. And in fact, if I can get him on his hip, perfect, but if he goes up on his hand, that's okay, because that's enough space for me to go for that bolo. So I'm using my grip to pull myself forward, and notice how I post up on my elbow. All right, from here we have a lot of different options, like I showed: hip clamp, crab ride, hook. Worst case, say I don't know what I'm doing. Something I like to do, especially if I can control this leg, or if I see he's trying to pummel this in or something. Yeah, like knock this off. He's trying to do stuff like that. I'm gonna trap his far leg, and look, I go across. Okay, from here I can pull him down towards me. Option 1, or option 2. I roll up on top. Cross face. Or get this pen arm choke. Okay. That's the bolo. You can also do it from top side. You'll see some guys, say Cousin Tony has me in X guard or something, single leg X. If I can clear this, a lot of times I'll just go from on top. So I'm gonna make my hook, and I go cross body. Sorry, Cousin Tony, you okay?
Yeah.
Cross body. So we're in that kind of hip clamp position. Again, I switch my hook. So if you can go straight, perfect. If you have trouble with that, look. Hook goes on the leg, and I can pass it. And you can even make a hook here. And it'll just give you some more control. And take the back. All right, so you can bolo from anywhere. Just throw it. Kids spam it nowadays, just like Street Fighter. We just like Hadouken. That's all the kids do. They just bolo, 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 bolo. And you can win tournaments still, even at brown belt. Mia brothers, Mendez brothers, everybody from Cicero Costa, Unity. Who else do bolos, Jeff? Keenan said they didn't work for a bit, but they do work. Man, it works, man. And I like it for leg attacks, Say Cousin Tony's going for my ankle with the ashi, yeah. So before you can get a good grip on me, control the ankle. Okay, so you've seen a lot of the gi guys, they just bolo, just to get out of everything. So that's it. I'm tired of talking. Thanks, Tony.
Bingo. Bingo. How's that matter with that? That was the first one.